Hey, there you guys. So, David here. What a beautiful, beautiful day in Calgary. Wow. So, I was just sitting chatting a few minutes ago with my friend Tyler, and and the whole idea of being present. What is it that keeps us from being present? What does being present mean or look like? And what do you mean? Often we ask the question, what do you mean I'm not present? So what keeps us from being here now? Hmm. Judgment. Judgment based on this idea of right and wrong, and good and bad, and enough and not enough, and before and after. And all of these terms of duality keep us from being in the unality, in the one, in the universe, in this universe, in this now. And so, we speak often of God as if it's something separate. And all the teachings, and I've spent really the last 40 years experimenting and looking and trying to discover what was it all about. And the kind of the one of the biggest fairy tales that I was told was that God was separate, and that I had to somehow appease this separate thing, and so when we come into the 12-step world, and we have a lot of judgment on ourselves, like tons of judgment on ourselves, and many of us were got that from our conditioning from our parents, and because they judged themselves and they judged us, and we were never kind of good enough, and so we were always trying to figure out how to be good enough so that we could get what we wanted, which was love. Of course, we can't get love unless we're present in the moment, and we can't be present in the moment if we're trying to be different. So there we were, struggling with trying to be different in each moment, and trying to be good enough, and trying to be, and judging others as well. So um, and ourselves, so judging ourselves, judging others. So we have to be free from judgment, free from this idea that there's something missing. There's nothing missing. In this moment, there is nothing missing. This is a perfect moment, right? And the struggle with this, I'm not good enough, and the uncomfortableness, we don't like the feeling. So what do we do to mask the feeling of the uncomfortableness of I'm not good enough, or I won't do well enough, or I won't show up good enough? Well, we go to our drug of choice, to mask that, whether it's drugs or alcohol or food or sex or work or the telephone. We're all doing that lately, aren't we? You're spending hours on the phone, and we're not present because we're masking. We're not here. We're on the phone. We're not here. We're using drugs or alcohol, and or gambling, and we're getting that high. We want that high, the dopamine high. So all of that takes us out of this moment. That's the deal. Think about it. I mean, uh, if you want to be free, if you want to live in your full potential, if you um, look at it from this way, if you can, for a moment, just look at it like, okay, what's missing? Well, nothing's missing. Nothing is missing. Here we are. So we breathe, right? Just breathe. And we're here, we're present. Prayer brings us into this moment, gratitude brings us into this moment, right? The purpose of the steps, when you look at step four really shows us how living in fear has not worked, how and living in anger or resentment has not worked. So it's a beautiful step. Do it, and how being selfish in relationship and codependent in relationship, and desperately wanting to get our way in relationship, needy in relationship, being with people to get our needs filled in a way has left us empty, and so all of that, it's a beautiful exercise that the 12 steps is laid out to bring us to freedom, and we become aware, We become aware. We can't work on our defects of character, if you will, but we become aware of them. And as we become aware of them, we bring our attention to them, and we come into the moment, they disappear. And we realize that fear, has, kept us in pain. Fear, actually, false evidence appearing real, but fear, it says in the book, sets in motion trains of circumstance. So we create our reality with fear. Yeah. We create our reality with fear. So what can we do? My suggestion is, of course, if you're in recovery, do the steps, get a sponsor, work with others, dig in, imagine, that I was talking with a friend, and I said, imagine that, what could be more important than saving your own life? Right? What could be more important than saving your own life? But I said to him the other day, I said, well, look, if I promised you $1 million, if by Christmas you could speak fluent Italian, and that's all. You had to be able to speak fluent Italian by Christmas. How much time would you spend between now and Christmas getting fluent in Italian? You would go for it. $1 million, baby. You would do it. You would do what you had to do. You'd be shutting out all kinds of distractions to get fluent. And this is what we need to do in this becoming aware, this spiritual awakening that Carl Jung said we needed to have, a psychic change. It isn't, we're not just going to wish for it. There's shit, we got to want it. We got to do it. We got to show up for it. So, as if our life depended on it, because it does. The desperation of drowning men talks about. The gift of desperation is so important. If you don't have that desperation, pray for it. God damn it. It's needed. So become like a full-time spiritual student. You're looking for your PhD in relationship with a higher power, with God, and with the moment. Get in big time. So everything that I've read and studied over the last 40 years. I went to India and spent time with the Dalai Lama. I mean, I've read tons and tons of books. I have been with all kinds of spiritual teachers. I spent years in the sweat lodge. I did all of that stuff. It's all in the 12 steps. It's all in the 12 steps, simplified for us. So why not do it? That's my deal. Now, what I'm reading today, what I'm sharing with you today is I'm reading from a little book called the Tao Te Ching. If you're a spiritual student, you'll understand that this is amazing. It simplifies, but we think, oh, well, I got to get a car first. I got to get my finances straightened out first. It's bullshit. We have to grow in this spiritual way of living, and that's the deal. You're gonna die. I mean, yesterday I was, spent time with a lady whose son died a year ago. And Simpson's mom and his dad. And it's a few friends. I mean, it's not fun when, he's gone, but family gets left behind, and there's a lot of it's hard. It's hard for family when their sons die. This afternoon I'm going to go visit Mason's mom, and Mason died 2 days ago, and because we get stuck in this idea that there's something missing, and that we need to somehow fix it, and that we can, but we can't. Step one, that's only step one. Our life is unmanageable. That's it. We cannot fix it. We cannot fix it. We have to completely shift the context. That from I'm going to make it better to, it is perfect. It is perfect. Nothing's missing. Honest to God, nothing is missing. Okay. I love this little book because it just so simplifies. Each chapter is a paragraph or two long. The longest chapter might be 20 lines. It's just gorgeous. So, written by Stephen Mitchell, which originally the author his name was lao-tzu. So it says, can you coax your mind from its wandering? That's what we were just talking about. And keep to the original oneness. That's it. That's exactly what we're just talking about. Can you coax your mind from its wandering and keep to the original oneness? Can you let your body become supple as a newborn child? child's? Can you cleanse your inner vision until you see nothing but the light? Can you love people and lead them without imposing your will? Can you deal with the most vital matters by letting events take their course? Can you step back from your own mind and thus understand all things? You know, that's so true. I mean, I'm so grateful, because I know beyond a shadow of a doubt that my thinking from a you know, a conditioned belief system thinking, me, the old me, the small self, if you will, is never, it's always coming from fear. It's always coming from not enough. So it can't be trusted. Only when I'm in the oneness, when I'm really here, you know, when we tap into the universal intelligence, can we be trusted to, you know, to complete, to be in our full potential. I love it. I love that last line. Can you step back from your own mind and thus understand all things? Giving birth and nourishing, having without possessing, acting without expectations, leading and not trying to control, this is the supreme virtue. Isn't that beautiful? Just let that in. Giving birth and nourishing, having without possessing, acting with no expectations, leading and not trying to control, this is the supreme virtue. Love it. Love it, love it, love it. So that's lao-tzu in the Tao Te Ching. I suggest you get a copy. I really do. It's so beautiful. Oh. Let's just go in the back. Our friend Stephen Mitchell writes a little bit of an interpretation of whatever it is we just read. So like I said, this was chapter 10. His little interpretation on chapter 10, well, it's actually a little bit bigger. So he says, chapter 10, in italics, he's repeating part of it. He says, can you let your body become, literally, can you concentrate your chi until it becomes supple as a newborn child? Beautiful. There's no self-consciousness in the newborn child. Later on, the mind wanders into self-images, starts to think, should I do this? Is this moment right? And loses the intimacy of the moment. As self-consciousness develops, the muscles become less supple, less like the world. But the young child is pure fluidity. It isn't aware of any separation. So all its movements are spontaneous and alive and whole and perfect. If an adult body becomes truly supple though, there's a quality to its movement that the child doesn't have. A texture of experience, a fourth dimension of time. When we watch a 70-year-old hand move, we feel, yes, that hand has lived. All the bodies it has touched, all the weights it has lifted, all the hands it has cradled are present in its movements. It is resonant with experience. The fingers curve with a sense of having been there. Whereas in the child's hand, there's a sense of just arriving. The child's movements are pristine and innocent and delightful. But a truly supple adult movement is awesome because all life is included in it. Until we see nothing but the light. That is, until our heart is at peace. The great modern Indian sage Ramana Maharshi said, "There's no greater mystery than this, that we keep seeking reality though in fact we are reality. There's no greater mystery than this." Mastery, not mystery, mastery than this. Okay. There's no greater mastery than this, that we keep seeking reality though in fact we are reality. We think there is something hiding our reality. We think there is something hiding our reality, and that this must be destroyed before reality is gained. How ridiculous. A day will dawn when we will laugh at our own past efforts. That will be on the day we laugh is also here and now. That which will be on the day you laugh is also here and now. Okay, I see. So when we get there, it'll be the same as now. It is now. Can you love people and lead them without imposing your will? Emily Conrad's comment. The more supple your body is, the less dictatorial you'll be. The military stance is the most invasive stance that you can possibly take. It opposes the boneless, wishy-washy posture of someone who doesn't stand for anything. Is just as unhealthy. Suppleness is really fluidity. It transcends strength and weakness. When your body is supple, it feels like there's no barrier in you. You can flow in any direction. Your movement is a complete expression of yourself. By letting events take their course, literally, by becoming the female. The Ho Chang Ku commentary says, in arranging one's life properly, one should be as calm and flexible as a woman. Beautiful. So that's the Tao Te Ching, Chapter 10, also with Stephen Mitchell's description of that. Love you guys. Thanks so much. One day at a time, one moment at a time. Be here now.